Let her come.
Let her come.
3, 2, 1. Slut Shack, baby, Slut Shack. Slut Shack, baby, Slut Shack.
All right, Coco, we're live.
Oh,
are you even ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, but I know how I want to do this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He's the man with a plan.
So, we were talking about birthdays a few episodes before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Well,
what about birthdays?
In order to have a birthday, you have to be born.
Right.
You get where this is going now?
Yes.
Okay.
And in order to be born, you have to be conceived.
You have to be conceived. And on the opposite side of that cycle, though, is
in order to be a part of life, there has to be death.
There has to be death.
And if there's death, there's
funerals. And so I was thinking, I've always wanted, I feel like when it's my time to go, when it's...
How do you want to go out?
Regardless of how I go out, like, I want people to be, like, I want it to be more like a celebration of life kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I want there to be throw me a freaking party and just, like, you know, have
what
a blast.
What song do you want to play?
I don't care. You pick the music. Have a blast at my funeral.
It'll be Katy Perry.
Sure. Baby, you're a firework.
And at the climax of that song, you want someone to climax.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, have a blast. Freaking, I don't know. Throw an orgy for me when I'm dead. Like, have someone conceived like at my freaking funeral, dude. That'd be so freaking funny.
Real.
Like,
real. I respect that.
As one life goes away, another one comes into the world.
It's really poetic.
It's very poetic.
Very artful.
And just like, I don't know. I feel like I just want to go out with a big bang.
Yeah, you do. You want them to go out with a big bang too.
Have them go out with a big bang too.
Have them see you out with a big bang.
But yeah, no, it's just like, I just want things to be happy because I hate like vibes and atmospheres and like hospitals and just like all those places where people are dying and it's just like sad and melancholy. So I just want mine to just be like happy vibes, party vibes.
But if there is no sadness, is there happiness?
I've had enough sadness in my life. I can do the rest just happy.
Okay.
But speaking of weird shit in freaking hospitals or in ERs and stuff, like, I always see these freaking like TikToks and like Instagram reels and stuff. It's just like X-rays of people coming into the ER and
I fell on a remote. I fell on the couch and the remote went on my ass, I swear.
It's just like random ass stuff that people decided. It's usually men, honestly, that stick a random stuff up their butts. And it's just like, come on, like, use a flared base.
A surgeon once told me they got called in at 4 a.m. to remove a remote up someone's ass. And we were like, how'd you get it out? And she said, long gloves and a lot of lube.
Oh my gosh. That's awful. But yeah, I mean, how else would you do
Always have flared bases, people. Don't think about it. Do not shove light bulbs up your ass. Okay? They're fragile.
How do you even get a light bulb in? Like, wouldn't it doesn't break on the way in? It breaks on the way out? How does that work?
I don't know. I've heard of light bulbs, remotes, candles, toys. Another doctor told me once they were doing a digital rectal exam. This young woman was doing a digital rectal exam on her patient, which was an old man. And when she was done pulling her finger out of his ass, he turned around. He's like, you remind me of my daughter.
Why was he thinking about his daughter?
That's why it's
funny. Dude, was he hard?
I hope so. No, I'm just kidding. I don't fucking know.
She didn't mention that part?
I don't want to know.
She was digging through his asshole, but she didn't want to mention if his cock was hard?
I don't know if she's allowed to because of HIPAA and all that shit, right?
But she can talk about his asshole?
Yeah, I guess. As long as she doesn't say his name or any other identifying
or his daughter's name?
I don't know if the name reminded him of the daughter. Maybe it was...
the appearance?
Yeah. Okay, anyways, moving on.
Oh gosh! Speaking of shoving shit
into
into bodies, We have today's fic.
For the finale of season 1.
Oh yeah, this is the finale of season 1.
This is the finale. High five, Coco. We did it.
High five, Zuko.
We did what we set out to do. We made a whole season of this podcast. How does it feel? Well, I guess we can't celebrate yet. We haven't.
We'll talk about it at the end of the end of the season.
We will.
But yeah, so our fic today, we're gonna go take a pause and then read it. We will come back, explain what the fic is, and we'll dive right into it.
All right, break. Now we are back.
Okay, and we're back.
We are back, baby.
So our final fic for the season.
Yay.
So for our final fic, we have I guess we had initially thought of it as like a giantess fic, but this is more of like a shrinking fic almost.
What's the difference?
I don't know. But the premise of our story here is we have a sexy witch who shrinks her boyfriend, and then uses him to essentially fuck herself, honestly.
As a little sex toy.
As a little sex toy.
So the story is called Her Little Sex Toy by Chief Adonitologist from Literotica.
The story is actually it's a part 3 of a 3-part series. We only read the last part.
We read it as a one shot though. It really
yeah, we
doesn't
read
need
it as
context
a one shot.
To understand. They didn't refer back to anything really.
I think they mentioned some of the other sex that they'd already had throughout the night, but
not necessarily.
You didn't.
To understand
Yeah,
the story.
you can go straight into this story and you won't have missed much. But yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So, they start the fic off by saying that he had been so it's Mark and Sarah are the two characters. The story starts off saying Mark's face had been in his girlfriend's pussy many times, but none of them had felt like this. Shrunk to just over 2 feet tall by his girlfriend, who came out as a witch not an hour before, Mark's head was literally buried in pussy. That's a lot to process for a first paragraph.
Yeah.
First off, shrunk to just over 2 feet tall. I thought that was a pretty big dildo if she's going to use that.
I initially thought that too. I was like,
yeah,
this feels a little big.
It makes more sense later.
Yeah.
She had come out as a witch not an hour before. So in that hour, I want to know how that conversation went. Like, he wasn't even freaked out or anything. He was just like, all right, let's fuck. Like, do some shit on me. He wouldn't be scared. He wasn't even scared at the magic.
He was just horny.
He was just horny.
Honestly, though, I would be too.
Yeah. Mark's head was literally buried in pussy because he's so small. Her pussy's so big now.
Who doesn't want that?
Yeah. So after getting Mark nice and relaxed, his new size, by letting him fuck her ass and giving him a blowjob, it was her turn to have fun, and she's going to make the most of it.
That's probably how she convinces him to be all right with the witchy stuff. How? By letting him fuck her ass and giving him a blowjob.
Yeah, I think that was like later on she alludes to that, like it's kind of like transactional, like, oh, like you're really into that, so I'll let you, like I consent to this, and I'll do this, and then you get me back. That's kind of their dynamic.
Is they'll let each other do things.
She'll let him fuck her in the ass, and as long as she can make him tiny and use him as a fuck toy up her ass.
Pretty much. Valid exchange.
Valid. I'm not gonna judge on two consenting adults.
Yeah. And then so we get into him breathing into her pussy and rubbing himself against her. And she's like, "Your face feels great, little guy." She calls him little guy and stuff like throughout, which
I can't call my cat my little man anymore. I call him my little man.
Oh gosh,
I can't do that anymore.
Whole new definition for little man and little guy. And then I highlighted on here and she said, "Tap my leg twice if you need some air, okay, babe?"
I imagine his little hands just tink tink tapping on her.
But he's buried in pussy, right? Like he needs
gonna tap?
He needs some way to let her know that he needs to breathe. Because he's like freaking Aquamaning
He's gonna
it
have
over
to be
here.
slapping the shit out of her leg for her to feel anything with his little hands.
Oh gosh.
She says, "Remember, babe, I'm shrinking you again after this. If I'm not satisfied, you may end up as my butt plug rather than my dildo." So she's using the butt plug as like warning or punishment. Yeah, which I thought was kind of funny. AI could never write this.
Maybe it could one day. Who knows? But so she smiles as she felt his tongue shoot up into her, and I'm sitting there. We're confused. He's like, his tongue must be so tiny at this height, right?
Yeah, like how is she feeling much? Like, okay, so let's say he was 6 foot tall. Now he's 2 foot tall. So that's a third of the size. So I guess a third of a tongue is still like, pretty big.
It's still some.
You could
tongue.
feel it. Yeah.
Maybe not a lot, but
It'd be the size of like a couple rodents' tongues.
A cat tongue, maybe.
I don't want to think about that.
Okay.
Enough of the cat talk. No more talk about cats.
No more cat talk.
Cover your ears, Zuko. Earmuffs. Oh, poor baby.
Poor baby.
He's so cute.
Okay. Sarah finally intended to have fully intended to have stuffed him up both her holes before the day was done. So she's saying all this stuff, but she fully knows that she's gonna use them.
No matter what, she's gonna shove him up her ass.
She's gonna shove him up her ass. And he's getting into it. He feels like all of his senses are heightened, and he's like, everything is tastier. It feels wetter. Everything is just A-okay with Mark. Because he's just in fucking heaven right now, and he's like, he couldn't imagine how it would feel if she shrunk him even further, even if she shoved him up like a dildo. So he's into it. He's like, okay, give me more. And so he's like plunging his tongue deeper into her, and lapping her up and stuff, and she's like, his tongue is shorter than normal, but he's hitting spots that he's never hit before. And she feels pretty damn good about it. So like, it's not as big of a tongue, but he's making the most of it, I guess.
Yeah, he sure is. He's putting in work.
He's putting in work.
This whole story, everybody give it up for Mark. Everybody clap. Wait, what was that last episode? What did they say? They were fucking like a crowd clapping.
Oh, the audience clapping. Yeah.
Like the sound of an audience clapping.
Man. And so he's focused on her, and she's like grinding herself onto his face faster and faster.
I'm concerned for his safety at this point. How is he breathing?
Yeah, he's like freaking Aquamaning this, like doesn't need no oxygen. He's good with that, with them juices all over his face. He's kissing her clit, he's biting down, and she's pretty sensitive at this point. And he's just trying to get her over the finish line. That's his only goal here.
Right. He's a soldier.
He's a little slut.
He's a little slut. Oh yeah, all caps. Little slut. Make me come.
And then she came right in his face.
Wait, I have to read that whole paragraph.
Oh, okay, go.
Fuck. Yes, baby, right there. Yes, right there. Oh, fuck yes. Go on, you little slut. Make me come. I hope my neighbor doesn't hear this. Oh, fuck.
Some part of that's probably going to be the opener at this point.
I can't keep it together when I do that shit.
Sarah's body shook. She just came right all over his face.
As you do.
His face, and then she starts to get off of him, off of his head, and his face is a picture, flush red from struggling for air. It's soaked all over with her juices. That dumb smile on his lips again.
So he's just like delirious at this point with a dumb smile.
Honestly,
he's like,
I'm fucking jealous. Like, why can't it be me?
His brain must be so shook up from all the what is that? The vigorous shaking, the vigorous rubbing of him.
Yeah, she's grinding all on him. And then she like climbs off the bed, and then she like looks at her spell book. And then she's like, oh, like I don't want to turn him too small, because I still want to be able to feel him up in there.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, ready to be your goddess's sex toy, little guy. And then she's like, oh, like, what if I screw up and make him 10 feet tall instead? But
Valid worry.
But then she's like, well, what would his cock be like if he was 10 feet tall? You know, that
Probably
might be worth exploring too.
Probably too big, Sarah. Chill. Chill,
but she's
Sarah.
like, focus, Sarah. Like,
Focus.
10 feet mark later and his cock later. And so we get some like magic stuff going on, and she turns him into a 6.5-inch little guy, the same size as his penis. So really, he's been reduced to just a penis now.
I said he was reduced to just his penis, SMH.
And I was like, yeah,
He is the penis.
He is the penis now.
Are men just their penises?
Sometimes that's all they're good for.
You said it, not me. No, just kidding.
We say a lot of stuff.
We say a lot of shit.
Podcast.
Yeah, we say shit just to say shit, to be honest. Okay.
Women,
so,
if you're only with your man for his penis,
just get
buy a dildo.
Or turn him into one. Learn magic. Turn him into one. Cast a hex on him. She added.
If you require help with that, reach out to us at slutshackx@gmail.com and we'll help you out. We'll send you a video.
She's on how to cast a hex. She'd added an extra bit into the chant to enhance his hearing and vocals so he could still hear and speak to her normally at his new size. So he doesn't squeak like a mouse.
Squeak like a mouse, but just like, what if he's in pain or just like needs to call it quits, you know?
Yeah, communication
is key.
She has that as a priority. It's a very valid.
She should have added breathing ability as a priority.
Yeah, like giving him a breathing spell. She's just like, no, I like that he struggles.
Give him some gills.
Yeah, give him some gills. Is there even like, never mind.
Say
Cancel the thought.
Say it.
Well, it's just not a worthwhile thought. It's not that it was too spicy. It's just like, is there even enough oxygen in that pussy juice or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, would gills even help?
You know that this is the 4th Harry Potter where he like eats the freaking like gillyweed and then he has like gills and stuff for an hour.
Yeah.
That's what she should have done. Is give him
gillyweed. Yeah, what kind of witch is she?
Yeah, give him some gillyweed.
That's just too much to explain because he only figured out she was a witch an hour ago, and then she's gonna be like, eat this.
Yeah, and then she'd have gills for an hour.
He'd be like, anything to put in your ass, babe.
Yeah, honestly. And then she like starts to rub him up against her tits. Her tits are bigger than his whole body at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fuck, dude. That sounds like
big boobas.
That sounds like big boobies. And I wouldn't mind if I was him. Like
big pillowy clouds. It's
big
like
pillowy clouds.
It's like laying on one of those giant what are they called? Beanbags?
Beanbags.
Yeah.
He's on some bags.
Yeah.
Some fun bags.
He's on some fun bags.
He like starts to suck her nipple. He could barely get her nipple in his mouth at this size. So it's just like mouthful of nip at this point. Like,
yeah, if he's only this big, like what? That's 6 inches. His mouth is definitely not big enough to put a nipple in.
It's just barely.
But
she's got small nipples.
So she's teeny tiny.
Rather than our last, it was like a couple fix ago where we had someone with 2-inch nipples. When erect. I'm assuming Sarah is not in the same boat here. Like he's struggling as it is
for an average nipple.
Not a 2-inch. Not a 2-inch nipple. He felt her nipples harden. She was getting aroused again. He motorboated her.
He was blowing bubbles. Just the tiniest.
At that scale, what does that even feel like? Just like a vibrator? Like,
yeah.
And then she's like, I think you should thank your goddess for the chance to worship her body. Kiss my feet, slave.
She just went on a power trip after she turned him tiny.
What did you rate your another dommy mommy tonight?
And foot content. That's what I wrote. Yeah.
Nice. And then he's sucking her sweaty feet. He's like, I wasn't normally a foot guy, and Sarah's were a bit sweaty from the fun we'd had earlier. But, you know, he makes do. He gives it to her. He grabs her toes and plants lingering kisses on his girlfriend's giant feet, rubbing himself against her to the point where he was practically humping them.
The guy from the last episode would be super jealous.
Honestly,
if he could get himself shrunk really and hump feet, like, he would love that.
And then
we need an AU.
An alternate universe.
We need
we get
with
AJ from the last fic.
Yeah, double teaming her.
Double teaming her toes.
Just like a ton of tiny men just all over her.
Weird thought.
What?
You think they could... There's got to be some gap between the toenail and the toe. Right?
Yeah. You saying go tinier or rub his dick in that gap?
Yeah, rub his dick in that gap. That'd be like...
Wouldn't that hurt? Because toenails can get kind of sharp.
She can file him. I don't
She needs a manicured. But yeah, it could happen.
AJ would make it work.
He'd make it work, baby.
But yeah, AJ from the last fic. We might need to do a crossover at some point.
Why not just stick it between her toes?
Oh, between her toes. That'd be easier.
Her pinky and the other one. Because his dick would be super tiny.
Maybe he's got a... Oh, his... What? I don't know. He's like 1/12 the size that he used to be. So I don't know how big his dick would be at that point. Let's see.
Half an inch?
He had half an inch. That sounds about right.
That's still kind of big. I thought it would be tinier. Anyways, that's it, babe. Kiss my toes like they're your girlfriend at prom. What the fuck? You couldn't think of any other analogy.
That was kind of a weird one in there.
That was whatever.
And then she's like, now little guy, it's time to crawl inside your goddess.
I think it's I like that she's like calling herself a goddess and all this shit.
She's definitely on a power trip at this point. But he's also like very keen.
Oh, but
to
I
perform.
said I'd be terrified to have a little rat up my pussy.
Yeah, but
with his teeth and everything.
He's
up
gonna
there.
act more better.
More better. You gotta act more better.
He's gonna be more directed energy, you know?
Right.
And then she's like, so he like starts to like touch her and all this stuff, and she's like, no. Like, I want you inside. Like, you can worship me while you're in there. Like, and then she like threatens him again.
In my belly.
And then
like,
she's like,
bastard.
She's God.
Everything comes back to Austin Powers. We can't have the finale and have me not mention Austin Powers.
I mean, you mentioned Magic School Bus here in a second too.
Yeah.
And she stuffs him inside.
And like the Magic School Bus, they're going on a little adventure inside the human body.
Yeah, he's shrunk up and inside her pussy.
They
now.
should make an episode of Magic School Bus for this. Take a trip inside Sarah's vagina.
For adults only. Please,
for adults only. Of course.
Please make sure your kids are not listening to this podcast.
It's a little late for that.
Or our Slut Shack based Magic School Bus episode. But yeah. And so Mark is loving being inside Sarah. He kisses and licks and grabs at her. He can feel the vibrations all around him, his body already sticky from Sarah's juices, which he eagerly slurps up, keen to have the taste of something other than feet in his mouth. So yeah, he's all up in there. And after what seems like an hour, but it was really only a few minutes, he suddenly felt a shift and saw a shadow by the entrance to her pussy. And so she starts to rub her clit and suddenly gets all hot. And he's humping her from the inside, right?
You said he's freaking Aquaman.
He's freaking Aquaman over here.
Breathing through all this
somehow. And you were like, I imagine he's doing the worm inside her.
Yeah, because he can't full on like hump her. Like he's like, like doing the worm, like wiggling.
He's doing that, and then she just like, and then she grabs him and then starts like flinging him up and down inside of her. So she's just like using him like a dildo at this point, essentially. And then she pulls him out and then wraps him up with thread to a dildo.
Yeah, at first I wasn't sure if he tied him to the top of it like he was like a rocket being blasted into space, or if he was tied to the side of it to make it more girthy, but it's the side of it.
Yeah, we find out soon enough. He's tied to her favorite 7.5 inch pink silicone dildo.
Very specific.
Slightly longer and larger than his cock.
I wonder if the author has this exact dildo they like.
They were probably looking right at it.
They're like, how long is it?
They would take out a measuring tape.
The writing process.
And then she coats him in saliva and covers him in lube. And and then she's like, yeah, I had effectively made the dildo thicker by tying him onto it. And then
Nightmare fuel.
So he found himself being rubbed along the bottom of my pussy with
God.
every thrust,
I
getting
get a
a
little
mouthful of her
claustrophobic.
juices every time. His dick was rock hard again.
But wouldn't his dick get snapped off with all the friction? Like it's that
He's
tiny.
he's
and
all
he's
lubed
hard.
up. He's all lubed up.
Yeah, but he's like rock hard. Yeah, I guess that's nightmare fuel. I'd be way too claustrophobic. I would.
Well, not only that,
I'd need
he
therapy.
starts jacking off inside of her. So he's got room somehow.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't have to make sense. It's magic.
It's even girthier though. He's rubbing even more against the side of her pussy walls. Anyways, I regret saying that. Let's just go. Let's just continue.
And then Sarah was close again and sensitive from her last orgasm, blah, blah, blah. Mark felt himself get soaked by a deluge of Sarah's juices as she came hard on the dildo, right as he was pressed deep inside her. He sputtered a lot as it went into his mouth, wiping his eyes with his hands to try and clear it off his face. And then he's like, thank God Sarah didn't squirt like a porn star, he thought wryly. He'd be in danger of drowning.
So it was dry enough. It was dry.
I think it was just not too wet.
It was dry enough to breathe. It was wet enough to fuck. What's the truth here?
It's magic, baby.
It's magic, baby. She did give him some Gilly Wade.
And then she has her orgasm and then takes him out, cleaning him up with her tongue, then untied him from the dildo, dropped him back onto her chest.
Never say I don't give you enough pussy, babe.
I like your.
Oh yeah, she dropped him back onto her chest, and I said like a newborn baby. That was foul.
Mark burst out laughing at that wettest ride I've ever been on. And you rode in there like SeaWorld.
Yeah.
But she goes in the same direction too, because she's like, maybe I should give you a season ticket.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
what's up?
I'd freaking take her up on that.
Hell yeah.
I'd take her up on that season pass. Like, why not?
But just wait, we're only halfway through. Mark gets nervous at her power trip that she's gonna be wanting to do this all the time.
And then they like start to negotiate. Oh, we'll do this every week or every day or every month or whatever.
He's like, I love. I never thought I'd get to live that fantasy. I wouldn't do it every week, but it's nice to have as an option for when we feel kinky. That's kind of what he was feeling. But she loves it. She wanted this dirty boy to give this giant girlfriend a rim job and all this shit. She wants to keep going.
Yeah, and then he's a little bit concerned about her sticking him up her ass. And he's like, he wasn't sure if he trusted Sarah not to just shove him up there while he offered to rim her. And so he's worried about her acting non-consensually in this case, which was interesting to me.
Yeah, but then
just from like a trust perspective.
Yeah, but right after he loved her ass, he thought of fucking it regularly was it was worth the risk of Sarah using him as a butt plug for half an hour. So he said, okay, goddess, you win. I'll worship your ass any way you want me to.
And then she...
so basically he's like, that's a risk I'm willing to take.
And then
I'm
right
okay with
as
it.
soon as he says that, she's like, yeah, you're going to give me a deep cleaning inside and out.
Disgusting.
To some, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that was a little judgmental on my part. You can tell I'm not into it.
And then she puts him right up against her butt cheek and is like, kiss it, bitch.
You tell him, girl.
And he plants smooches on
Mark
her
started kissing
butt.
her giant butt. Now this was ass worship. Yeah, you're telling me. Definitely.
And then as he's kissing her booty, which you were like, what is he, a pirate? She spreads her butt cheeks and
rolls up, like she maneuvers over so it knocks him from her cheek into her ass crack.
Yeah.
And then she let go of her cheeks because she was holding them open with her hands and it trapped him in her crack. She said, enjoy yourself in there, babe. You know what to do.
Yeah, he
Jesus Christ.
And so
that imagery, though.
That is a lot of imagery going on there. And so he's like, fuck it.
Get out of my head.
He's like, fuck it. You only live once. I'm just going to do it, right?
I am going on a magic school bus trip in this ass.
Yeah. He's like, he begins massaging the skin around her butthole. So like his upper body is still out. It's just his lower body that's like inside of her right now. and he's just slurping at that ring, licking at the crevices and hands teasing the soft flesh around her pucker.
Oh!
So she uses that term many times throughout the story.
I hate that word choice for her asshole.
The smell was intense, earthy, but not dirty. Sarah had showered earlier, and Mark was quietly glad of it. He wasn't sure he'd want to be here after a hard day out in the sun or after she'd used the bathroom and not showered. And so we get more description of her crack stank of sex and sweat and cum and more natural scents. And
it's a lot. It's very reminiscent of the
more
Snow
butt
White sweat episode.
Tangy taste and just all this stuff going on, and he's just licking that rim. He's just enjoying
Finger
it.
licking good.
Yeah. And then she's like, it would be so nice to get a deep tissue massage every day. And then
he heard Sarah's voice booming at him. I like that little detail. Like, because she's a giantess, her voice is booming. She's a giant, big booming giantess. I need to add echo, like a bunch of reverb to that.
And then she sticks him in there head first, and he's just like, oh man, it's even stronger, and like the smell and everything gets stronger. He's just trying to scramble inside of her walls, but they were too slimy. And she's just like, she just lets him in there for a little bit and then pulls him out and giggles. She's like, I always knew you were a kiss ass, babe, but that was ridiculous.
Nice one.
Don't be a snarky little guy. At least I didn't fart while you were in there.
So dumb.
Now be a good boy. Mama wants one last orgasm.
Mama wants one last orgasm. Please stop. Enough.
And then she lubes up his body and then sticks him back in there. But this time it's gonna be feet first. And
isn't that breach? Oh wait, no, he's going in correctly.
And then while he's doing that, she's gonna fuck her pussy with a vibrator, and then she tells him, she's like, just try to wriggle around a bit, okay? Maybe you can jerk yourself off while you're in there. Do this last thing for me, and I'll change you back to normal size. And so we start, and she does exactly that. He'd never felt so submissive, so humiliated, so utterly turned on. And she's like, and he tells her, he's like, okay, goddess, shove me up your pucker like the sex toy I am. And she's like, best boyfriend ever. And then she like slides him in further so that only his head is sticking out now. And then
she looked at her ass in the mirror. She saw his face sticking out of her ass.
Oh yeah, and then she starts like twarking and stuff in the mirror.
That visual is insane. He's like hanging out of her ass like a little gem on a butt plug. His head is.
And then she's giggling and all this happens. And every time she's like, and then she like starts to use the vibrator and it's humming through. Sarah found himself pitched repeatedly into the walls of her colon, getting mouthfuls of her juices each time. So he's just really taking in all that
electrolytes,
all that ass juice,
all those electrolytes.
Boy. And then he begins to start pounding his feet up inside her, to the side closest to him.
Yes, he's kicking the shit out of her.
He's kicking the shit out of her, and he's jerking himself off with one hand. But she's like,
he's having a whole body workout experience.
He's having a whole body workout. And
can I sign up for this? Like, this shit seems like really good workout.
And he's like fantasizing as he's inside her, right? He's like her riding a dildo while he's tied on to it. He's fantasizing about him worshiping her ass cheeks even more. And maybe Sarah will even lend him out like a shrunken sex toy to her friends. And I was like, whoa, like there's just,
damn,
this dude is just like,
his one brain cell is activated.
One brain cell is activated.
It is activated. Neuron activated.
And then he feels this familiar tingling sensation inside his balls. Of course he is. Sarah's overwhelmed too. She's got the vibrator and like Mark is doing something up her butt and she's just feeling that pressure and vibrations. And so she's just closing her eyes and just like enjoying herself. And then she connects her brain with Mark somehow. And then they like can feel each other like coming for each other, and they're just like groaning, and just everything was stronger than usual, and they're shaking, and all of this stuff happened, and then Sarah collapses onto the bed, drops the vibrator away, and then she's just like, feels so good, she forgets that he's still up in her ass. And she's just laying there.
She could have found him dead. This could have been a crime scene.
Yeah, and
is there something dead in her ass?
She rolls over.
What crawled up her ass and died?
Oh my
That's
God.
what I was looking for.
God. And then she finally remembers he's there. She rolls over, inserts a finger into her ass to try to get him out, but she realizes she's just pushing him back in even further. And so in the end, she just gets up, squats down over the pillow, and after a few minutes, she felt something sliding down her back passage. So she just like, she shits him out, essentially. Like,
He came out smooth.
I mean, this is why we use flared bases, people.
Yeah, there was no flare. His head would have just got sucked up.
Which is what happened, because he tried to just like poke him out, and then that didn't happen.
Oh, what if she poked his eye out?
Poked him in too far. Then, well, how do you explain that?
How do you explain to the doctor?
Yeah, how do you explain to the doctor, like, so there's a person inside my asshole? They're
She
just,
wouldn't
like,
need to go
6
to a
inches
doctor.
tall.
She has magic. She would boyfriend us and eject us.
And then so she takes him out, takes him to the bathroom, and starts cleaning him up, rinsing him with soap and water. And then she puts him back onto the bed and undoes her spell. But before she does that, she's like, well, what if I just kept him small, just like as a dildo, forever?
Put him on my nightstand.
Yeah. But then she's like, I'm gonna change
Petrify
it back.
him.
And then so she puts him back to normal, and he gets back up, and then she's like looking at him like lovingly and all this stuff. But then it's like she changed character, like as soon as she was like done orgasming and stuff. And she's like, all of a sudden, she's just like super concerned. Like, you're sure you're all right with this, with my powers and with me and all this stuff. And she's just like, she went from being super confident to being super insecure all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah, you said post-nut clarity. Does that happen for women?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I guess so.
And then he's like, babe, I just let you use me as a butt plug. Like, yeah, I trust you and I still love you.
Maybe he's scared of her at this point. He doesn't wanna
Well,
say the
she's
wrong
like,
thing.
well, maybe that, or you're just like a kinky like fucker, like, And then he's like, yeah, it's both. Like,
Can it be both?
Can it be both?
Porque no los dos.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
And then she's like, yeah, now that you've been all up in my ass, my butt's yours whenever you want it. And now GTFO, take a shower. You smell like ass. So, and then I'll be your perfect kinky little anal whore for however long you want.
Jesus Christ.
And so, yeah,
People
basically,
do say my ass is magic.
Yeah,
But
basically-
every time I say ass, it's arse.
Arse.
I think they're
British.
British.
Um,
So they are in Harry Potter.
maybe.
This is a Harry Potter
The
fic.
thing that got me though, so he goes, showers, blah blah blah, and then they're like wrapping up the story, and they talk about how they're in lockdown. So I think,
Wait, what?
yeah,
Oh, was this written during like COVID?
I think this was a COVID fic.
And you just got mad at me last episode for mentioning COVID-19. You're like, that was way in 2020. It is 5 years away, which is crazy. But
But yeah, sorry for
we just did a COVID fic.
Yeah, we just did a COVID fit. It was like every dirty little fantasy to life, blah blah blah, lockdown or not. Sarah was determined to make this a very good year. And then they mentioned some of the other stuff she wants to do. She wants to do like
She flicked to the page with transformation spells, including one with the word "quote unquote" futa, F-U-T-A, scrawled in the margin next to it. I didn't know what this word was. Coco did apparently, but I looked it up. And for those of you who don't know, Urban Dictionary says it's the Japanese term for hermaphrodite, commonly a woman with a dick.
We actually have, in some of the ideas that we put on the side, someone did recommend us a fic for this, so maybe we'll do that next season.
Okay.
So
Maybe. No promises.
no promises, but it's on the table as something we've had people recommend.
We have a
and
lot
ask
on the
for.
table for the second season. We haven't even scratched the surface of smut.
We've gotten to the point where I think we might be booked up on stuff that we have for the
For like
second
10
season.
seasons.
Yeah. Well, not 10 season, but I think we have enough content planned for a full season and maybe get into a third season.
Yeah. But anyways, that's it. There's a note from the author. I don't think we need to get into it.
But let's get into the ratings. You want to do
Jinx.
the star rating first?
Sure. I would say entertainment-wise, 4. I think it was very solid entertainment. I thought the pacing of it was good. I thought the level of, like, because the past couple fics I've griped about, like, they're coming way too much and it's not, like, purposeful. And I like the pacing of this fic. I thought it was interesting. I thought they definitely did what they said they were going to do. So, yeah, it was very entertaining for me. What about you, Coco?
What's your chili pepper score, though?
Oh, you want both my scores?
Yeah, I want both your scores first.
Chili pepper. I'll give it a 3.5 as well. Because not really into butt stuff, but I can empathize with the excitement of all this. The imagery of his little tiny dick hard against her vaginal wall and the sheer force of that.
The friction of it all
just made me cringe for his dick. I was scared for his dick. It was more me trying to wonder how the fuck is this working. I couldn't shut that part of my brain off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I didn't really get absorbed into it. Like it's just, oh, this is really hot. You know what I mean? But I think it is really hot to have sex with a witch that casts spells.
Okay.
To like do stuff.
Fair.
That's cool.
What
do you say, Coco?
I think my star rating, I think I'm gonna go 3.5 on the star rating. Like I enjoyed it, but I think some of the other more recent fics I've enjoyed reading more.
Yes.
I think
we definitely had a lot more entertaining.
Yeah, I think the character dynamics were more complex than other stories that we've read. This one was like, yes, there was the sex, and I think the sex was good, and I'd probably give the chili pepper score 4. I'll give the chili pepper also 3.5 for this one. And the story rating also 3.5. I think it was good, but I think we could have added. I think the character dynamic could have been different and better, and I think there could have been a little more plot overall for like the star rating. And then the chili pepper stuff, it was just like, yeah, some parts of it just didn't make sense, and it didn't seem like it would actually be pleasurable for the dude at all. And the whole. I think power trips have their place in stories. Hers just didn't make as much sense as I wanted it to. And so I'm gonna go 3.5 for both.
Yeah, I like that they came up with like a reason and a background for why.
Yeah,
because like I didn't know what to expect. I had never seen or heard of a giantess story beyond people like joking about like Lady Dimitrescu or whatever, like mommy uppies and all that stuff. I really haven't been exposed to giantess stuff, so I thought it was interesting that they turned her into a witch to like have a reason for why she's able to make him smaller instead of just like, oh, it just like, you know, like I thought that was a good reason. It might be like an easy cop out to call it all magic.
I feel like, yeah, in my opinion, I do enjoy the magic stuff in some stories. I do feel like it is an easy cop out. I feel like it's more entertaining for me to see something unique or some unique way for things to happen. But like, yeah, okay, there's magic, there's a spell. We can make it work, but the
fact that he only knew she was a witch for like an hour though, and they just glossed over that.
Yeah,
they didn't need to throw in
there's
that detail.
There's a lot of holes, and I think maybe if we'd read the first few parts, it would make a little more sense, possibly. But I think for this having happened an hour after finding out she was a witch, it just felt like unrealistic. That was
the least realistic part about the whole thing.
Yeah, not even the magic.
Not even shrinking him down to the size of his own dick.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I think it was a fun story. I definitely recommend our readers checking it out and reading it. But yeah, so what does that give us for our average scores? Cinnamon?
3.5 for chili pepper, 3.75 for entertainment star score.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reflective of the story. So yeah, that's our final story for the first season.
Woo!
So this was Her Little Sex Toy by Chief Adonatologist from literotica.com.
So how does it feel, Coco, to have done our whole first season?
It's been an interesting ride.
Uh-huh.
I think it took us a while to really figure out how we wanted to do the podcast, how we wanted to set up the structure for our stories, our episodes, even the way we wanted to incorporate, like, how much of the story do we read? How much of our little chit chat and side conversations do we want to incorporate? It's right. been interesting just to find our dynamic with each other.
Yeah.
And like how we go about, the logistics of the actual recordings and podcasts and all that too. So it's been a great learning experience. I've had fun with it.
It has. Yeah, it has been really fun. And every time I've done a ton of different types of projects, weirdly, like you say all the time, like, oh, you have so many random skills, and I think this was a rewarding project, and I think it took a lot more work and preparation and everything than I anticipated. And projects almost never come out how you imagine them to, but that's almost like the great thing about embarking on that journey, and I am happy with how it turned out. Like there's like probably possibly dozens or hundreds of ideas for us to even start with that we have brainstormed on our brainstorming list, and I'm happy with the what was it, 12 episodes that we chose, the 12 topics, because this, like, there could be like hundreds of episodes, like there could be anything we could choose, but I like that also that we chose like mostly like solo creators online and everything. Like sometimes I feel like maybe we took the piss a little bit too much out of the stories sometimes, but overall I think like we just really enjoyed
we enjoyed reading them.
Yeah, we enjoyed reading them. Like, this is entertainment. That's we have an entertainment score for a reason. Like I don't know, you take it away, Coco. I think I've said my piece.
I think yeah, we've enjoyed the fix. We've enjoyed talking about it. There's so many times, even while we're hanging out outside of the podcast, where we'll refer to stuff that
and then laugh our ass off.
We'll laugh our asses off. We'll reference stuff from the stories. We'll reference stuff from the pod. There's just like it. I think it's even helped our dynamic as friends. Just kind of going through and having these weird conversations for the public, but
so read smut with your friends.
Yeah, read smut with your friends.
Nothing will go wrong.
Encourage them to listen to the podcast.
There are actually several episodes we recorded just like learning how to do this, and like some of the fics were just like boring or bad, or like we just couldn't make good conversation around it, or like like it took us probably like a half a dozen to a dozen recordings that we threw out, and other stuff that happened, but we made it.
I think I guess to kind of, provide kind of a peek behind the curtain, though, we had those early episodes where we were like, oh, this isn't actually fun to talk to and whatnot, but we learned from that. And so like, I would say, especially the second half or maybe in the last 2/3 of the season, we haven't had those.
No, it's been very like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it's been
like
boom, boom, boom. And
we know what we
like
do now.
Yeah, it's like sometimes we'll like, this is our third recording of the night. Yeah. Right? Like, so we've just like, we have our system down a lot better.
Yeah. And as soon as we're reading a fic that we feel like is like not up to par, we'll throw it out like immediately before.
Yeah, we're a lot better about that now. And sometimes it's like, we'll be going through regular conversations like, we can't talk about this. Don't talk about this. Wait for the pod.
Save it for the podcast.
Save it for the podcast. This needs to be on.
That happened right before we started recording today. Actually, there was a hilarious conversation, but we didn't want to like reenact it and be fake on the pod.
Yeah. So it's definitely been a fun learning experience, and I think hopefully the second season we'll keep going up from here.
And if you're thinking about starting a podcast on anything, just fucking do it. And then now that we have a system for podcasting, we could podcast about anything too. It's like, you know.
And yeah, we're planning on a season 2. We don't know when it'll be out yet, but we do have the ideas in mind. We're gonna add some fun twists and turns, and keep an eye out for season 2 of Slut Shack.
All right, Coco.
Cinnamon.
Are we over and out?
We're over and out for season 1.
Over and out.
Over and out.
Now it's time for some aftercare.